Hi, first grade.
Hello, first grade.
This is Mrs. Kunda.
And Mr. DeStefano.
And we are back again for our third class dojo listen and learn lesson.
We still miss you guys, but we're so happy you're here joining us for another lesson.
We are so proud of you working hard while you're at home.
Today we're going to continue working on our Fairytales unit. Remember, fairytales are fiction stories. What does fiction mean, Mrs. Kunda?
Fiction is a story that is not real or it's made up.
So a fiction story is fake. So fiction begins with f. So does fake. That might help some of our friends remember that.
Ooh, that's a good way to think about it.
We've learned in the past that fiction stories have characters or people or animals that are in the story. They have a setting, which means where and when the story happens. Many times they have a problem or something that's wrong in the story.
Something that needs to be solved.
And then the solution is how they fix it. And fairy tales also often have some sort of magic or things that could not happen in real life in them.
So for example, in our last story, could you spin straw into gold? No, I don't think so. So it's make believe, something magical.
And fairy tales often end with a happy ending, like they lived happily ever after.
And they often have a lesson, so something that you can learn from the story. So for example, in our last story, Rumpelstiltskin, I learned that bragging can cause some problems for other people, or telling lies can cause problems as well. So for example, in Rumpelstiltskin, the miller's daughter, she did not tell the king the truth that she could not spin straw into gold, and because of it, she had that problem with Rumpelstiltskin trying to take her firstborn child.
All right, very good. So we're going to move on. We're going to review some of the vocabulary we had in our previous story. So we want to try, when you're at home, try to learn these words, and maybe you might want to even replay the beginning of these stories and just go through the vocabulary and practice them. Maybe there's someone at your house that you can practice the words with. That would really help you to learn these. So these are some good first grade words. As Mrs. Kunda and I have told you before, we both worked with fifth grade a lot, and these words you're going to have all the way through school. So if you can learn them now, it's going to make the rest of the grades seem so much easier.
All right, first grade. The first vocabulary words are from our first story, Sleeping Beauty. So the first word is virtue, and that means goodness. So for example, the 12th fairy in Sleeping Beauty showed virtue by trying to soften the spell that the 13th fairy cast, so showed virtue. All right. The next word is wisdom. So that's having knowledge or a sound judgment. That means you're a really good judge. And this gives you the ability to make some really good choices. So point to your brain to show wisdom. Okay, the next word is prick, to make a small hole or cut with something that's pointed. And a good example of that would be from our story Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty pricked her finger on the spindle, and she fell asleep for 100 years. Our next word is enchanted. That's to be under a magic spell. So Sleeping Beauty and the rest of the kingdom was enchanted. They were under a magic spell, so wave your wand. And then the last word from our first lesson is spell. So this is a word or a group of words that are believed to have magical powers. So point to your mouth and then wave your magic wand to show spell.
And then story number 2 was Rumpelstiltskin. So we had the story clever. When you are clever, you are able to think and figure things out quickly.
So smile and point to your head to show clever. That's you being very clever.
So our sentence next to this picture said, the clever girl would always be first to solve math problems. When you succeed, you reach a goal, or you have something turned out the way you wanted it to.
All right, so do a little dance to show us you've succeeded.
So Chef Jim hoped to succeed in winning the prize for the best dessert. So he's in a contest, everyone's bringing a dessert. He wants to succeed or accomplish his goal of having his be chosen as the best. Our next word is pity. A feeling of sympathy or sadness for someone who is unhappy. So in our last story, Rumpelstiltskin, there were many times when Mr. D and Mrs. Kunda said that we felt pity for the miller's daughter because she was stuck trying to figure out how to get all that straw spun into gold.
And then at the end, she was stuck with the deal from Rumpelstiltskin. She had to figure out his name, or she was going to lose her baby.
Boasting is bragging or telling about something in a proud way. So boasting usually isn't a positive characteristic. It's when people talk a little bit too much about things that they can do well. Sometimes they exaggerate, like in the last story. In this sentence, it says, Danny would not stop boasting about how many pounds he could lift. So when you're boasting, you're kind of always talking about how great you are or how great you can do something. It's a little more than just being confident. You're kind of saying it so much that other people start to feel sad, or it kind of makes other people feel bad. So that's kind of the difference between being confident and boasting. So it's good to be confident, but when we say it too much to make and other people start feeling bad, that's boasting. And claim means you demand, or when you say that something is yours, you want it for yourself. So yesterday, last time Mrs. Kunda claimed Friedrich. Today, Mr. D is going to claim Friedrich as mine.
Uh-oh.
Just kidding, Mrs. Kunda. I wouldn't take Friedrich from
Thank you, Mr. DeStefano. I don't know what I would do without having Friedrich in my classroom. He's my mascot.
So today we're moving on to a new story.
We're moving on to
I can't remember
Rapunzel.
what it is. Rapunzel, thank you. I knew it
It's
begin with an R, and I kept thinking Rumpelstiltskin
Yes,
again.
me too. They both begin with R. All right.
So we have some new words today that so every day as we're on here, this is probably going to be the last one we're going to record for a while, but maybe not. I don't know what Mrs. Conda will talk about this after, but we're definitely planning on posting some more in the coming weeks. So if there's not another one today, there will be in the future, and we're going to keep adding on these words
As we go. All right, so really be paying attention to that vocabulary. All right, do you want to go with the first one?
Sure, it doesn't matter. So our first word is actually a word we've had before. Let me make sure I can put it where you can see it. And that's our word dusk. So we talked about dusk when we were in our astronomy unit. So dusk is the time of day when it begins to get dark. So remember, we talked about dusk is when the Earth is moving away from the sun. It looks like the sun is going away, or the sun is moving away from us or taking a nap, but we know that's not true. The sun is not moving, it's staying in place, and it's the Earth that we're on that is moving away from the sun.
So if you want to play along when you hear the word dusk, you can do the same movement that we've been doing, Mrs. Kunda and Mr. Stefano's group, where you show the horizon, and then you have the sun going beneath the horizon.
That's right, they know that one.
All right, the next word is delight. This is another vocabulary word that we had earlier in the year. So to show delight is to show joy or great pleasure. So for example, the boy opened his birthday gift with delight. All right, so to show delight, you can point to your smile and give us a big, beautiful smile to show delight.
Nice happy face.
Because you are joyful or happy.
Okay, and then our next word is rage. When you show rage, you are very angry. I think we had that word before.
We did have this word before. And the movement that we did for rage is we stomped our feet. We did a little growl because you're very, very angry. So
and show an angry face, too.
Yeah, show a really angry face to show all that rage. And then the last one for me is merciful. So merciful is to be able to forgive or be kind to someone. So what I like to do is pat my heart. So pat your heart. Find your heart and pat it, okay? Because you're showing forgiveness, and by forgiving them, you're being kind to them. So, for example, Amelia was merciful and stopped teasing her little brother. Okay.
And our last word is longed. When you longed for something, you want something really bad. So maybe
the hand movement, they could reach out really far, reach out and try and grab something you're longing for, but you just don't have it yet.
Okay, so something you really want, you long for it. So think of something you really want, that you're longing for it. Mr. D and Mr. DeStefano and Mrs. Kunda are longing for the day that we can come back and have you all back here for Listen and Learn.
It is not the same teaching Listen and Learn without you. All right, so keep those vocabulary words in your head. We're going to now move on to the story. But before we move on to the story, we want to take just a look at this. That to me looks like some lettuce there, Mr. DeStefano. What's so special about that lettuce?
Well, that lettuce is actually called Rapunzel.
Really? I thought that was just the name of a story.
Well, it's actually both. It's the name of a lettuce and the name of a story. So we're going to read about that today, and I think I am up to read today.
You are. So here. So remember, this is a type of lettuce that is called Rapunzel.
Everyone say that, Rapunzel.
Rapunzel. Oh, did we do our journal? We did
No,
not.
we did not.
So we're going to learn today about, or read about, a girl who has really, really long hair. And that's a really key point in the story, is her long, long hair. So today's journal entry is, what would you do if you had really long hair like our friend Rapunzel? So I want you to really think about that, listen to the story, and then I want you to write out, what would you do if you had really long hair like Rapunzel? I don't know.
So they can think of lots of different things. They
Yeah.
can kind of think some realistic things, or they can use their imagination to think of some really creative things. So we're interested to see, if you send it to us, we're kind of interested to see what the
Yeah.
ideas that you come up with.
Take a picture, type out in the comments, what would you do? Maybe you'd braid it up really pretty. Maybe you'd use it as a jump rope. I
That
think
would
I
be
might
funny.
do that. You could
That would be
exercise
fun.
anywhere you go. Or maybe you don't like long hair. Maybe you'd cut it and maybe donate it.
But those are all great ideas, Mrs. Conda.
I bet you they'll have better ideas than me, Mr. DeStefano. They always do.
All ideas are great. So you guys ready to start the story? Okay, so remember, we want to think about, how is this a fairy tale? How does it have magic? Does it have a happy ending? What could not happen in real life? What are the characters, the setting, the problem, and the solution?
And what can we learn from this?
And what could we learn from it? Thank you, Mrs. Kondo. Okay, there once lived a man and his wife who, more than anything in the world, wished to have a baby. Wow, I feel like we keep hearing that
We
over
do.
and over.
This is a common theme in fairy tales.
Finally, one day, they learned that their wish would come true. Now, at the top of their house, in the very back, there was a little window. And from this window, you could see a garden full of beautiful flowers and fresh vegetables. But around the garden was a high wall, and no one dared to enter the garden because it belonged to a mean witch.
Uh-oh.
There's an example kind of what could not happen in real life, is the mean witch.
Mm-hmm.
One day, the wife stood at the little window and looked down into the witch's garden. There she saw fine-looking leaves of Rapunzel, which is a kind of lettuce.
Which is that picture we just showed you. This is
There.
Rapunzel.
And it looked so fresh and green that she felt she simply must have some. Day after day, she longed for it.
Show us long for it. Reach out. Try and
One of
get
our
it.
words. What does that mean, Mrs. Conda? She longed for it.
She really wants it badly.
But she doesn't have it yet, right?
She does not have it yet.
The more she wanted it, the more she became pale and sad when she could not have some. So what would you do if you were her? What would you do if you were her family member and she was pale and sad because she couldn't have the Rapunzel, Mrs. Conda?
You know, Mr. Stefan, I might tell her that she could possibly ask the witch to have some of the Rapunzel, or she could possibly just grow her own.
Yeah, those are both great ideas.
Let's see what she does. I'm really curious.
Okay. Her husband saw her looking so sad and became worried. "Dear wife, what is the matter?" "Oh," she answered, "I feel that I must eat some of that Rapunzel from the garden behind our house." Her husband loved her very much, and he thought, "I must get my wife what she desires. I will get some of that Rapunzel, no matter what."
Uh-oh.
What do you think he's going to do?
I don't know, Mr. Stefano. I hope that he's going to go out and, purchase some Rapunzel himself, or maybe grow his own Rapunzel.
Yeah, or maybe just go next door and ask the neighbor if he could have some.
Those would all be kind ways to get the Rapunzel.
Mhm.
Let's see what he does.
Uh-oh, doesn't look like he made any of the choices we mentioned, Mrs. Kondo.
Uh-oh. I really hope he made a good choice. Let's find out.
That night, he climbed over the wall into the witch's garden. He quickly filled a sack with Rapunzel and brought it back to his wife. At once, she ate it with delight. Oh, that's one of our
Show
words.
us delight. Point to your beautiful smile.
Everybody should be smiling. She liked it so much and it tasted so good that the next day she longed for it twice as much as she had before. So when she got it, did it stop her from wanting it? Now she wants
No,
more.
she wanted more. That sounds pretty greedy to me, Mr. DeStefano.
Yeah,
Just
it-
like the king in in Rumpelstiltskin.
And you know what, Mrs. Conda, it not only sounds greedy, but it kind of makes me think that it might be magic. Maybe the Rapunzel is magic, that when you eat it, it makes you want more.
It could possibly be. I mean, it is in the witch's garden.
I wish our friends were here so I could hear what they thought.
I
of
wish
this.
that they were here
Yeah.
too. We miss you.
So that night, the husband climbed the wall again and picked more Rapunzel. He turned around to go back when he saw before him the angry eyes of the witch.
You know, Mr. Stefano, the witch does sound a little scary, but, if I were the witch, I would be really angry too. Because technically the king is stealing from her.
Yeah, we shouldn't take things without asking,
Right.
or we shouldn't be stealing from from people. So I totally understand why the neighbor is so upset.
Is so angry because, you know, it's not his Rapunzel to be taking. Let's find out what the witch does.
Let's see how she reacts. "How dare you climb into my garden, you thief," she hissed. "How dare you steal my Rapunzel? You will pay dearly for this." "Oh, please," said the terrified man, "be merciful." Merciful is one of our words. What does it mean?
It means to be forgiving and kind, and so pat your heart, show us merciful.
So he wants her to forgive him for stealing the Rapunzel.
I wonder if she's gonna forgive him.
"I only did this because I had to. My wife, you see, is having a baby, and she was looking out the window and saw your Rapunzel, and she needed some more than anything else in the world." "Well then," the witch said, "you may have as much Rapunzel as you want, on one condition."
Uh-oh.
We've heard that before.
Yes, we have.
"When your wife has a child, you must give it to me."
Oh, Mr. Stefano, you know, I just want to stop and make a connection here.
Sure.
That happened in Rumpelstiltskin.
It did.
Yeah, he wanted her child, or the miller's daughter's child, when she had one, and now this witch would like this family's child.
So that must be a theme that repeats in at least some of our fairy
It
tales.
really must be.
So what do you think he should do? What choice do you think he should make, guys?
I don't know. If I were him, I would just say no thank you and go grow my own Rapunzel.
Yeah, me too. I think that's a good idea. Or maybe go to the store and buy one. Because
Yeah.
that happened. That did not turn out so well in Rumpelstiltskin.
No, it did not. Let's find out. Let's see what choice he makes.
So the witch said, "I will take care of the child like it's my very own." The man was so flustered that he said yes, and then tried not to think any more of it. But later, at the very moment when his wife gave birth to a lovely baby girl, the witch appeared and reminded him of his promise. She brought the child to live with her.
Wow, Mr. Stefano, I don't know. Do you guys think that that was worth the wife getting that Rapunzel? Do you think it was worth it, her getting that Rapunzel? Now she's had to give up her baby.
I certainly don't. I kind of wonder how the man and his wife feel about that right now.
Yeah,
I kind of feel pity for them.
yeah, I feel pity as well. Oh my goodness, if you remember the symbol for pity, show us.
So you should kind of be making a sad face and
Yeah,
pointing
sad
to
face and
someone
point
else.
to someone else.
The witch named the baby Rapunzel.
Oh, after the lettuce.
That's right. And she grew up to be a beautiful girl. When Rapunzel was 12 years old, the witch took her deep into the forest. There she locked her into a tower with no steps and no door and only a small window near the top. Why do you think she's doing that?
I don't know, Mr. Stefano. Do you think she's keeping her safe? Or do you think that she's trying to lock her away so no one can get her?
Yeah, I kind of think the second. I kind of think that she's locking her so no one can get her. Maybe she's afraid. Maybe the witch thinks the parents are going to come and
Might
take
be.
her. Or maybe she thinks Rapunzel's going to run away. Whenever the witch wanted to be let in the tower, she would cry from the ground below, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair."
Now, this is a really tall tower, so Rapunzel must grow some really long hair.
She must. So think about that for your journal entry. If you had really long hair like Rapunzel, what would you do? Mrs. Kunda gave you some great ideas in the beginning of the lesson, and maybe you have some even better ideas, or someone in your family or in your house who might be watching this with you has some great ideas that you can write about in your journal entry.
Oh, look, there's Rapunzel letting down her hair so that the witch can climb up. And if you see in the corner, I'm just going to move it just a hair, you can actually see the witch calling out to Rapunzel.
Yes. Rapunzel had beautiful long hair that shone like gold. When she heard the voice of the witch, she would open the window and let her hair fall down, down, down to the ground far below. Then the witch would hold on to the hair and climb up to the tower window.
Wow, that must really hurt having someone climb up your hair, Mr.
Yeah,
Stefano.
I don't think that I would like that.
I don't think I would like that. What do you guys think? Do you think you'd want someone climbing up your hair?
No,
I don't think I would want that. No. Oh, there's the tower. It looks like there's someone else there. Let's find out what's going to happen.
I wonder who that could be.
I wonder.
A few years passed like this when one day the king's son was riding through the forest and he came upon the tower. As he came near, he heard a voice singing so sweetly that he stood still and listened. It was Rapunzel in her loneliness, trying to pass away the time with sweet songs. The prince wanted to go inside to see her, so he looked for a door in the tower, but there was none. He rode home, but the song has entered into his heart, and every day he went into the forest and listened to it.
Uh-oh. Do you think the witch is going to like that?
I don't think so. Do you think the prince likes Rapunzel?
He must like her because he sounds like he really couldn't forget the song she was singing.
Yeah, it said it entered into his heart, and then he kept going back.
Yeah.
It said he went back into the forest and kept listening to it. So.
Wow, let's find out what happens. Oh, there he is again. And there's the witch. Can you see in the picture? Let me see. Wow, uh-oh.
Just kind of seeing how the witch gets up to see Rapunzel. If you were the prince right now, what do you think he might be thinking?
He might think it might be a little odd that someone's climbing up hair.
Yeah,
Or-
I agree, Mrs. Kunda.
Or he might think about maybe that's a way he could go up and meet Rapunzel.
Yeah, those are both great ideas. So once as he was standing nearby behind some trees, who should come up to the tower but the witch? The prince watched, amazed as the witch called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Then he saw how Rapunzel let down her long hair and how the witch climbed up it and went into the tower. He thought, so that is the ladder? Well, then I too will climb it. The next day, as dusk fell, he came to the tower and cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." And she let down her hair, and the prince climbed up.
Wow, Mr. Stefano, I'm wondering, do you think Rapunzel's going to be surprised to see the prince?
I think so. I think she's probably expecting the witch. And
She's probably is. I don't know. Or maybe she'll just be excited she has another visitor, because it has to be boring only seeing the witch.
yeah, it could be, yeah. Rapunzel was greatly frightened when she saw the prince, for she had never seen a man before. But he spoke kindly to her and told her how her singing had entered his heart and how he felt he could have no peace until he had seen her. Then Rapunzel forgot her fear, and when he asked her to be his wife, she put her hand in his hand and said, "I would gladly go with you, but I have no way to get out. Do this for me. The next time you come, bring a bundle of silk. Then bring some more each time you come, and I will make a ladder of it. When it's finished, I will use it to climb down from this tower, and then you will carry me away from here on your horse." They agreed that he would come to her every evening, since the witch only came in the daytime.
Now I'm wondering, Mr. Stefano, the witch put her up in the tower so that she wouldn't be able to leave. I'm wondering how the witch is going to feel if she finds out that Rapunzel has made this deal with the prince.
Yeah, and then if she finds out, I hope that she doesn't find out, but it sounds like the prince too, or it sounds like they have a little plan here that if she's making a ladder so she can climb down herself. So the problem in the story might be that she's stuck inside this tower and she needs to get away, and maybe the prince is helping to find a solution. We'll have to see if the solution works. So
Yeah, we'll have to see. Do you remember what the prince said he was going to do, or what Rapunzel and the prince said they were going to do? If you remember, they said that the prince is going to bring bundles of silk, and they're going to make a little ladder out of the bundles of silk. So that's how they're planning on getting Rapunzel out of the tower. Let's see if this works.
let's see. Uh-oh. What happened here?
The witch does not look happy, and Rapunzel, if you look at her, she looks really sad.
She does. So things went on this way until one day Rapunzel, without thinking, said to the witch, "Why do you climb up so slowly while it takes the king's son only a moment?"
Uh-oh.
So think about what do you think's going to happen.
So she just told the witch that there's a prince who climbs up. So there's someone else who comes to the tower. Do you think the witch is going to be happy?
What do you think the witch is going to do? Maybe you can kind of look at the picture and see one thing, but maybe you can talk to whoever might be with you watching this about what else you think might happen.
Yeah.
"Oh, you wicked child," screamed the witch. "I thought I had you hidden here from all the world, but you have betrayed me." In a rage, what does rage mean? It means she's very angry.
Stomp your feet.
The witch grabbed a pair of sharp scissors and cut off poor Rapunzel's hair. Then the witch took Rapunzel from the tower and brought her to live deep in the forest.
Wow, Mr. Stefan, I'm feeling some real pity for our friend Rapunzel here, because all she really wanted to do was to, leave and be free and go with her friend the prince, and it sounds like she's not going to get a chance to do that.
Yeah, I kind of wonder why she cut off her hair, too.
That's what I'm wondering, and I wonder if the prince is going to be able to find her now, because
know.
she's not in the tower anymore. She's now in the forest.
And will he recognize her with her haircut?
Yeah, my goodness, I wonder what the witch is going to do with all that hair. That's a lot of hair.
Later that day, when evening fell, the prince came and called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The witch lowered the cut-off hair, and the prince climbed up. Ooh.
Uh-oh. He's not going to find Rapunzel up there. Who's he going to find, kids?
The witch.
Uh-oh.
But instead of seeing his dear Rapunzel at the top, he saw the gleaming eyes of the witch. Aha, she cried and laughed at him. You come for your darling, but the sweet bird is no longer in its nest and sings no more. You will see her no more. Filled with horror and sadness, the prince fell from the tower. The fall did not hurt him badly, but the thorns on which he fell cut his eyes and blinded him.
Oh, no. So he won't be able to see to find Rapunzel. I wonder what's going to happen.
So if he runs into Rapunzel again, he's not even going to know it's her.
Is he going to know it's her?
Do you think there might be a way he might know it's her if he runs into her again, boys and girls?
Think about what we read about in the story. Let's find out.
So blind and alone, he wandered in the forest for several years, eating only roots and berries, and weeping, that means crying a lot and loudly.
That's another word we heard in the last story.
Yes, it's right. And so he was weeping over the loss of his dear Rapunzel. Oh, don't we feel pity for him?
Oh my goodness, there's a lot of pity to feel.
And for Rapunzel, too. At last he came to a place in the forest where Rapunzel herself was wandering. He heard a sweet voice that he thought he had heard somewhere before. Whose voice do you think it might be?
I don't know.
When he went toward that sound, Rapunzel saw him, wrapped her arms around his neck, and wept. When Rapunzel's tears touched the prince's eyes, he could see again.
Aww.
Now, would that normally happen if someone can't see and someone had tears from their eye?
I don't think we have
Yeah.
tears. You know, or have tears that can cure blindness. I
Right.
think that sounds a lot like magic to me, Mr.
It does.
Stefano.
So it could not happen in real life. So it's another characteristic of a fairy tale. So the prince was both happy and amazed because he thought he'd never see her again.
So not only does he get to see her with his eyes, but he gets to see her again when he didn't think that he was going to be able to meet up with her.
Wow. So I wonder how the prince feels right now. I bet he's feeling pretty happy.
He probably is. Probably very joyful.
He's delighted.
He's
One of our
delighted.
words.
Show us delight.
And so the prince took Rapunzel to his kingdom to be his bride, where she was welcomed with great joy. They were soon married and lived happily ever after.
There's that happy ending again there, Mr.
Yep, the happy
Stefano.
ending in our fairy tales.
All right.
Let's check over our questions at the end and see if there are any we didn't answer or any we just want to review again.
So I want to know, in the beginning of the fairy tale, what does the woman long for in the witch's garden? Do you remember?
She wants that Rapunzel, or that lettuce called Rapunzel.
You know, that's really cool, Mr. Stefano. I didn't know that there was a lettuce called Rapunzel.
No, neither did I until I heard this story for the first time. So notice even teachers learn something new. You know, so when we're teaching you, we learn new things too sometimes. Yeah. And what happened to the woman before she got some?
Well, she was really sad. She just kept asking for it. She was really pale. It almost seemed like it was kind of making her sick that she couldn't have it.
Yeah, and then when she got some, what happened then? She
just kept wanting more. She became very greedy for the Rapunzel.
Yeah, so remember, Mrs. Kund and I were wondering if that Rapunzel itself was magical because it kept making her want more and more.
And it kind of almost made her sick while she was wanting it. So, I don't know.
So the husband wanted it so what did the husband do after his wife wanted it so much?
Do you guys remember that the husband went and he stole the Rapunzel from the garden?
And do you think there is another way he could have solved this problem? We talked about this
We did
before.
talk about that. I don't know if you guys could think of something else, but I was thinking that maybe he could have just asked the witch nicely. I mean, the witch doesn't seem like she's a very nice character, so she might have said no.
Mm-hmm.
But he could have just went and purchased his own. You know, I'm sure there's a market or something that he could have went and bought his own.
Right, or maybe bought some seeds and grown his own Rapunzel.
Yeah, exactly.
So go ahead, Mrs. Gunn, it's your turn.
When the witch, that's okay. When the witch catches the husband in the garden, he asks her to be merciful. What does the witch then say the husband must do if he wants the Rapunzel from the garden?
He has to promise to give the witch his child when the baby is born.
I just am so surprised that he said yes. But I'm almost wondering if we go back to that magic, if maybe that Rapunzel really was magic.
Yeah, that theme keeps coming up in these stories, and I keep feeling like these characters are making the wrong decision.
Me too.
What does the witch name the baby?
Oh, do you guys remember she named her Rapunzel after the lettuce?
After the lettuce that everyone loves so much.
What happens when Rapunzel's 12 years old?
She gets locked into a tower that has no doors and only one window near the top.
How does the witch, how does she get to Rapunzel to visit her?
She climbs Rapunzel's hair. Now, I hope Rapunzel's hair is magic somehow, or that somehow she has it held in so
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt her, because that would be very painful.
Yeah, that sounds like it would hurt a lot.
Okay, and how did the prince discover that Rapunzel exists?
Well, I believe if you remember, he heard her singing from the tower, and then he watched the witch climb up the tower using Rapunzel's hair. All right. Oh, thank you. And what happens when the witch finds out that the prince has been visiting Rapunzel?
Oh, she becomes angry, in a rage. Remember, in a rage is
Show
very
us
angry.
rage.
Stomping your feet, making that
The
angry
growl,
face.
grr.
And she takes her from the tower to live alone in the forest. She cut her hair. She
Wow.
tricks the prince into climbing Rapunzel's hair, and he falls from the tower.
Wow.
And then actually he ends up losing his eyesight because the thorns that
Yeah.
he fell on hurt his eyes.
Is it my turn or your turn to ask a question?
I think it's your turn.
Okay. Does the fairy tale have a happy ending? Why or why not?
Okay, so it had a very happy ending because the prince found Rapunzel because he heard her voice, and then her tears dropped into his eyes and magically allowed him to see
He
again.
could see again, that keyword being magic again.
And they lived happily ever after.
Wow.
And what happens in this fairy tale that shows that it is fantasy?
What do you think? I personally think that witch being able to climb up Rapunzel's hair, that shows magic right there, because I don't know about you, but it would really hurt to have someone climbing up my hair. I mean, I just think about if I accidentally tug on it or something, that really hurts. But to have somebody climb it, yeah, her hair must have been magic.
And also having the Rapunzel's tears that allowed the prince
Yeah.
to see again, that had to be some magic.
That had to
too.
be some magic, because unfortunately tears do not cure blindness.
And I really, even though our story doesn't say it, I think that the Rapunzel itself might be magic too, because
Yeah.
when the wife ate it, she kept wanting more and more of it.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I just wanted to talk to them about the lesson. What do you
Of
think
course.
the lesson might be, guys? What do you think we can learn from this story? Do not steal.
Yeah, do not
This-
steal.
All the problems in this story resulted from the man who stole the Rapunzel.
And I really think there's positive solutions to our problems too. There would have been a much more positive solution if the father had just gone out and bought his own seeds to grow his own Rapunzel, or went to the market and just bought his own Rapunzel. All right, and so we're gonna just cycle back to our journal entries. So we want you to tell us, what would you do if you had really long hair like our friend Rapunzel? What would you do with it? Would you jump rope? Would you let someone climb it? Would you
cut it off and do something with it? Make something
Ooh,
with it.
You could. Would you braid it up really pretty? Maybe make a bun on top of your head. That would be a really heavy bun though. So we would love it if you took some pictures and uploaded them, or message us, tell us, what would you do with long hair like that? We really can't wait to see your answers, and we really miss you.
That's right. So we'll try to get another story out to you soon. So see you soon. Thank you for listening, and we can't wait to hear your responses in your journals.
Bye, first grade.
Bye, guys.